Hi, Tracy, Renee. How's everybody doing? Jackie. How's everyone doing today? Christine, Brooks, Cindy, Heather, Tammy, Tracy. Oh, my phone's Zoom user, iPhone. Welcome, everybody. So today is our last free Worthy Gathering. So you purchase a piece of swag and you get 30-day trial for free. And we got so much cool stuff, guys. And yeah, it's going to be exciting. We're so excited on what's to come. You'll have access to the Tuesday calls, um, special handouts. What else, Lori? I know I'm missing all the other things. Hi, Yvette. Um,
A great
yeah, so
community.
the great community. Hi, Julie.
Yep.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
so excited. We have so much in store for you guys. We're
yeah.
just ready to grow and get this train rolling. And remember, guys, Leanna, she's an expert, right? This isn't just Ashley on Google teaching people in a group. She has over 25 years of experience. She has worked with professional athletes, with babies. Her creds go on and on and on. And I will post those again today so people know who you're really hearing from and learning from. People pay big money to see her an hour at her clinic, right? Me to see my therapist, she's $100 an hour. So a hat for 30 days to jump on these calls and learn and grow is just, it's a no brainer. So we thank you for being here and all of your
And
support.
it's so beautiful, you guys. Thank you. This is what I love about it is that as this community has grown organically, guys, we started this and we're like, you know what? We want to have an experience where we get to sow into other people's lives. So that's why we offered it for free for so long and why the price point is where it is because we believe that everyone deserves access to this information. This shouldn't be something that yes, it's an investment, but again, it shouldn't be something that somebody has to struggle to afford. And it's one of those things that these conversations, and what I have learned is that we can have the aha moments, which, listen, in my office, we have them. We have awareness, we have insight, connections, dots are being connected. But here's what I have to say, and it is a have to. It is I'm leaning in for a purpose that we can have the insight, the awareness, and the knowing, and it still doesn't mean that necessarily change will happen.
And I want to speak on this too. This dropped in me before I got on this call. A lot of people might even think, well, I don't have any trauma. Or I don't really like,
Yeah,
why would this benefit me? It will benefit you through all
right.
facets of life.
Yes.
Are you irritable? Are you snappy at your kids? Yesterday,
Mhm.
when I was riding my horse, I hadn't rode in a long time, guys. I get on him and I noticed I kept like leaning forward and getting up over him. Well, I could just be like, Ashley, get your seat. Get in your seat. No, it's in my
Yeah.
nervous system. Why
Mhm.
am I doing that? Why is my seat doing that? Why are you snapping at your kids? Why are you forward and tense all the time? Why do you clench your jaw? Why are you not sleeping good at night? Why are you doing everything fast? Why are you pissed off all the time? Right? We're getting to those root causes of why, and Leanna will help you unlock those to bring you to the next level, whether that's being a better mama, a better
Yes.
spouse, a better writer, a better athlete in any form, a better artist, right? A better cowgirl, whatever it is, it's going to help through everything you do. So I had to
Yes.
just say that.
Oh, I
Go
love
ahead,
that
Matt.
because that's the piece of it like where we talk about our pelvis, right? And about it's the act of orienting, locating, finding, and settling into, right? And so that process benefits us in everyday life situations. And I think that and I want people to join in and either ask a question or give me your thoughts, maybe how you've seen some of these principles it be engaged in your own world and how you've seen them like benefit you. So the oftentimes I have a phrase that it's not about what do I need to do next, because my brain can like try to logic it so many different ways. Right? I'm going to be like, well, I could do it like this, or maybe like this, or just depending on the weather, it can, and then I could confuse myself, and then I'm going to be like, well, I'm just not going to make any choice or decision.
Ooh.
Analysis paralysis. So the phrase I often use is what is the next conversation that's here for me? And a conversation feels much more informative. It feels more warm. It feels this sense of like I don't have to have it all figured out, but that through the conversation and through the quality of the conversation, the what needs to happen next begins to take care of itself. And that's just an easier way to live. And we know that there is so much wear and tear just in daily life that who doesn't want an easier way to live? I do, because life is hard enough. And so, right? So I'm like, look, the things we're dealing with in life, aging parents, kids that are transitioning, right? I have a 17-year-old that's coming into an adulthood that I'm supporting. Never done that before. Like that's a new experience for my nervous system that, by the way, it wasn't modeled for me. My parents didn't exactly lead me through that transition very well. So my nervous system, my inner world does not have a working model for that. I'm having to develop it as I go. I'm having to create the map as I go, right? And so these things that I teach about, I use. So for example, the other day when there was a conversation about, dating, and I was like, I could, it's just like I felt it here and I was like, well, I can speak, but I'm pretty sure how I speak is going to sound really tense. Do you know what I mean? And my eyes just kind of got big. And so I just kind of like, I just kind of I went ahead and just let the moment pass. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go outside for a minute. And so, right? And I was like, all right, Leanna, where did that come from? It was here. It was like, and so what I did is I had to find my feet. I had to sit and be like, all right, let me orient to my pelvis. The spinal reset that we sent everybody, I actually went through because the spine, there's that phrase, somebody's got to stick up their, yeah, fill in the blank. Here's the thing. There's truth to that because the spine is not meant to be a rod or a pole that just holds us up like a scarecrow. That spine is a channel it's a channel that sends information out. It moves information through. But if it's seen as a pole or it gets real rigid, tense, tight, the way in which it facilitates communication through our body constricts, it changes. It can send my nervous system into a state of what's wrong, when in actuality, there is nothing wrong, but my state is already alert to that. So I had to soften the spine, 60 seconds. We went through this whole thing. I was like, all right, find my pelvis, let it rock back and forth, kind of side to side. Let the spine soften as it does that. See how like it's like there's a softening that opens, and then this tension here got to move and rest. That's important because the neuroscience is, and I'm going to have to read it because I wanted to make sure that I was like, man, I'm reading this correctly. Yep. Children process emotional tone in under 300 milliseconds. Wow. Children process emotional tone in under 300 milliseconds, which gives credence to it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it. Now, here's the caveat to that. Let's go deeper than how we say it. It's what is the state of my nervous system? What's the weather of my inner ecosystem? It got a little stormy. It was like, ooh, or hot. I don't know, whichever one is humid. It was, yeah. I was like, huh, we're talking about dating. So, so I went back in. I was like, hey, I was like, I had a little lump in my throat because it's a new conversation. I said, I said, I am here for this conversation. And I said, the lump in my throat wasn't because of something you said. I said, it's because my own history is that my parents, your Grammy and Bop, didn't really navigate me well through those kinds of conversations. And this is a new experience and I'm here for it. So we'll learn together. So what I didn't do is I didn't go in and say like I have this all figured out. I'm going to have this lecture. I named the state. So here's what gives us freedom. So parents, adult that works with kids, yes, they can within milliseconds detect a tone, What our role is to anchor and ground them and say, if you hear this in my tone, this isn't about you. This is about what's going on with me. I just had to rush home from the store. I have to now rush on a meeting. So I sound pressured, but it has nothing to do with you. Does that make sense?
That is such
Context
wisdom for a
matters.
mama. That is such a
They,
wisdom. That's such wisdom for a mama. Like
oh
I'm
yeah.
over here like, oh boy,
Mhm.
by when you speak to your
Right.
kids in a tone that they don't deserve,
Yes.
right?
And they might not understand because kids from the ages of 0 to 13 are very egocentric. It's about them. But guess what? Here's the thing. When anybody's in pain, it's about them too. We all, I mean, right? So this is one of those things where we just give context. And once context is given, we can both settle. And I do like the word safety because we see that a lot, that we need to cue our nervous systems for cues of safety. But oftentimes, if you've grown up with a lot of unsafety or the world truly isn't safe, that's where I use the word steady. Can I find enough steadiness to meet this experience without me having to be in full contraction mode? Notice I say full contraction mode because it's parts of my own body is still going to have some tension. I'm just inviting in softness somewhere else. It's like that concept of if I try harder, there's going to be some of this, but if I try softer, I can keep the try, right? Keep the effort, but create a sense of softness around it. So that's a real life example of some of the concepts we're talking about, which is knowing isn't the same thing as healing. You can know till the cows come home. I can have all the awareness and all the insight, but our reflexes, right? Our reflexes are faster than conscious thought. That's why I wanted to give you guys that data. Children process emotional tone in under 300 milliseconds. That's faster than conscious thought. And that is why we want to begin to explore this work that we're talking about through the nervous system. But here's the caveat I want to share is that the nervous system, although might be settled, there are still other parts of the conversation that lead us to change. The nervous system can create the space for new learning, for the capacity for new learning to come in, right? But if there isn't a repatterning of how my physiology, biology responds in that moment, I'm going to continue to run the same autonomic scripts. And notice I said autonomic because that's nervous system, but automatic as well. So you can trace the patterns back to its origin. You
Your
can name,
sound is gone.
uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
I'm hearing her over here, Yvette. I've got her. That might be your
Okay.
fault. Thank you for telling us.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you.
maybe everybody else did. I didn't.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Yes.
That's okay. Anyone's welcome to
Technology,
unmute.
you never know. You should watch Sunny Now try to figure out technology on Sunday nights. It's great.
Hot Mets Express, party of Leanna and Sunny. Here they come on Sundays.
I love it. So let's go back to the knowing part. Insight lives in a part of your brain that speaks. It has words, it has language, right? Here's the other piece. The pattern that lives in a part of you, the pattern actually lives in a part of you that doesn't have access to language or words. Insight, language, words. The pattern, that reflexive millisecond response does not live in that same place where insight emerges, right?
That reminds me, Lana, when you're talking about this. And listen, guys, if you have something's hidden, like unmute, speak up. This is a group that's so we want to hear your voices. We want to hear when something is hitting your heart or you've experienced it. But I was talking Leanna the other day when I was like, Leanna, I just have to tell because I've been very sick, right? And I'm doing a lot better. But I told Leanna, I said, it's very hard because I'm feeling better. So I'm like, well, I want to ride my horse and I want to go be with the kids and I want to go to the river and I want to clean stalls. And so Leanna, you explained like that was my automatic like
Yes.
pattern that I've had my whole life, but it's
Yeah.
not a healthy one because when I would do that, it was making me more sick.
Right. Well, because in that pattern, it's a push, it's a lot of there's a sense of pushing to do, right? And excitement is very much welcomed, right? But we want excitement to be met with also a sense of settledness.
Mm-hmm.
We want both of them to be there because it's much easier on our body. And I often have a phrase, the same hypervigilance, right? We can't bring hypervigilance into our healing journey because hypervigilance is like the example we used on Sunday Nights Live, which hypervigilance is like that when you're studying for an exam and you cram it in, you cram, 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 you go in the test, you just blurt it out, and then you're like, I can't remember even what I studied a day later. It's gone. Right? Because we had to study with hypervigilance. We had to study with a lot of intensity, a lot of energy went into it. So why didn't we retain it? If we put in all that energy, if we did hypervigilance, it's like I'm going to cram it in with a lot of intensity. And then the brain goes, yep, gone, short-term memory. That's all it took. Right. No soak, Kevin. Yes. Because the nervous system didn't have a chance to really to be with it. I often would tell college students, do not pull all-nighters. Your brain needs 4 hours to consolidate memory. So if you do an all-nighter and they'd go in the test, they'd be like, I just went blank because the brain didn't have enough REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, to actually take that information and file it away and code it right into its memory. And so the over fixation, the overdrive, right? That's what created a sense of dysregulation. And then the brain and the memory network just couldn't hold. So that's why I say effort alone isn't what it takes to get us to the next place. That's an important thing to understand because what that's going to do for all of us, it's going to allow us to be a little kinder to ourselves and to others because we're like, we got all this effort. Yeah, but is there enough regulation on board to create the space for new learning to enter? Now, the other piece of that is this concept of yes, lots of alcohol does not help. I had to tell college students that all the time. Y'all do not party and then the next day think you're going to go cram for a test because your your brain and your body is not in a state where learning can be easily received. Right. But again, though, here's those things. Now I'm having to talk to a lot of teenagers. How many Red Bulls? Where are these monsters? Like you're jacking your adrenals up. You know what I mean? Like you're creating a physiological dysregulation and then wondering why, like brain fog, all those things. So, right. So these are these kind of conversations that again open the space to see things differently. Right. And insight helps us see things differently, but how we show up in our daily movement patterns is what begins to take our history, our historical experiences, and it allows us to show up differently today. Now, the next piece of that is it begins to change how we store our historical experiences. I'm going to I'm going to walk you through this, guys, because this is so important. Because what hopefully this frees you from is like, I have the desire, I have the effort, I work so hard. Why doesn't this change? How many of us have been through that or know of somebody that's really hard on themselves? That's like, I don't understand. I've worked so hard. I don't understand. I try. I don't, right? All of that. Here's the piece of that. If in our history something has happened where we felt disappointed. Now, this is just going to be life's journey, right? So, who isn't going to check a box to one of these things? I've been disappointed. I haven't felt seen, heard, understood. Why I grew up in an environment where I felt like the odd person out. So, I was always different, right? And that difference, right, has that sense of like, yes, we were different. That's the truth of it. But here's the thing. How did our bodies respond to that difference? Did we kind of shrink? Did we kind of begin to move slower in those environments? Did we scan those environments to be like, man, I'm different already, so I want to be able to really take this in and measure what I say, how I say, the way I say it, so that that difference doesn't come back and hurt me. So that's the emotional part. The other part of it, let's just take this into biology and go, man, I could never really read well. My comprehension was off. Yeah, that, right. I grew up in school and I never quite really got it. I wasn't a good student. And that piece of it, I'm going to look at and go, how was your body able to connect? Were your eyes able to move across the page fluidly without having to reset? Right? Could information go across both sides of the hemisphere? Did you have enough time crawling when you were a baby to get that cross lateral movement going? So many conversations that we deserve to have that we just didn't have. There wasn't the allowance or the capacity to have then that we have now. So let's take that example, right? Of I didn't feel seen, heard, felt, gotten, received. I felt different. So in that, we had to manage ourselves differently in that environment or in that experience. So we either kept our shoulders up, we kept real fixated with our gaze, we were really stoic. And anytime we say stoic, we automatically can sense a posture, right? And anytime we feel the essence, the twinge of that movement pattern coming back into a daily experience, oh, my shoulders are raising. Why am I getting a little stoic here? Once you notice that, and something can come in to kind of soften that, the breath can open up in the lower part of the diaphragm. Those sensations are connected to so many experiences in our life, countless experiences. When those sensations are met and moved with, what happens is the subconscious says, I'm meeting this differently. This isn't bigger than her or him. I'm meeting this differently. This isn't bigger than her. That's a big deal. It's actually a huge deal. Because again, I can have all the insight I want. I can name the pattern. I can name the date of when that happened. I can go through all of that. But the reason why we want to understand the senses and the sensations, the reason why we understand how we hold ourselves is because that holding those sensations hold with it a whole history, a whole journal of experiences through those sensations. So when we meet those sensations in the here and the now, and we actually begin to allow them to move through differently, guess what? Whatever's in front of me, whether it's stirring the eggs, whether it's how I hold the car wheel, whether it's a conversation that's happening that I'm beginning to be uncomfortable with, and I'm meeting that edge of discomfort, and I notice it, I track it, and I begin to shift that conversation inside of me. The message we send our whole inner ecosystem is this is not bigger than me. I can stay present here. And if I can stay present here, it means I can access a choice or choices. That's a lot to take in, guys. So you're going to want to go back and like listen to this piece of it again. The breath work, the movement work can settle our nervous system. And that's important. It opens the door for us to cross the threshold into something new. But a settled nervous system alone doesn't mean that guarantees change. It's
I
a part
noticed,
of it.
Jovita, if you feel comfortable unmuting and telling us kind of what you're thinking, I see you're making comments, and if you don't want to, that's totally fine too.
Mute. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Through Leanna, I found out what my triggers are, and I cannot remember when I was not in fight mode. When I was not in fight mode. And I realized my whole world, I've been trying to control all the outside. Why don't they do this? Why doesn't this happen? And she mentioned, I feel invisible. I wasn't included. I'm the third wheel. Decisions were made without me. I felt like my parents were busy and I was left on my own to do whatever. And it wasn't a negative. I just took it as feeling invisible, that they didn't see me. So when Leanna did we were talking about the Superman pose and we were
Yes.
talking about the spine and how you sit and you have your back. It was like that was probably the biggest switch in this last week. I'm a totally different person. I feel it just feels like there's not a stump, but there's something back there that's holding me. And I'm not like it's like the roots. I'm having the Groot thing happening. Where this
Oh,
is starting to come alive. And in the meantime, I've been able to it wasn't, I don't think it was meant to be intentional, but something happened to my house and I had to redo things. And my whole house now is a completely colorful, completely different mode than what it was last year. And it was gray and white and black. And now I've got everything but. And I just feel like Javita's coming back and I never really realized it. So when you're saying these words, it's like I just can't you're right. You can't make it happen. It's like you have to soak, you have to sit there and you're going, why am I sitting here?
right. The thinking brain is like,
Yeah.
why are we doing this? Because we're used
Oh,
to, yep, we're used to moving, doing, or being busy. Uh-huh.
yes. And I pushed through life. And I
Yeah.
was so pushing that I never felt my feet on the floor
Yeah.
ever. Until we had that motion and the yoga toes and doing the session
Yeah.
I had with you last year. That's the
Yeah.
first time I felt like I came down to earth. And ever since then, between you and the earth and the words, they've really helped me to not flash back to my childhood, and to flash back to all the situations that I've had that
Yeah.
it's like, well, just let it go. No, I don't know how, you know.
Well, here's the thing, Jovita, what you just said brings tears to my eyes because when people say just let it go, you spoke truth. I don't know
Yeah,
how.
yeah,
Yeah. Because the conversation hadn't yet appeared in your world and you're having it now.
yeah,
And
right.
now
I'm
your
being
story.
heard.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah,
You're being
yeah.
heard. You're hearing yourself internally. And this and that, your story is now going to help someone else here.
Hope so. It's
Oh,
miserable
yeah.
being like that. It's just like,
Yes.
what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
What's wrong with me? Why don't I fit? And that doesn't feel that way anymore.
It
So,
doesn't feel it doesn't feel that way anymore.
nope.
And I'll tell you that it brings tears to my eyes of so much gratitude because Jovita, you said something about your house, and I don't know if Christine is here today, but it's very interesting. I will tell you, survival mode will make people will ask me, what's one of the clues that we're in survival mode? I'm like, a lot of things are just big, broad brushstrokes in life. Like we'll make do with things. We will make sure that the basics are here, but like the artwork on the walls or like the colors that we choose, right?
Mhm.
Christine is
Those,
too,
yeah.
Leanna. She's here. Yeah. If
Oh,
Christine,
good.
if you feel comfortable, Christine, on sharing your story as well. Jovita, that was
So powerful.
powerful.
I owe
Thank
it
you
all
for
to
sharing.
God and Leanna for opening up the box. It's been a long prayer answered. So,
So thankful. And now we have a
very.
whole community. But yes, that is something that you begin to see your outer world reflect more internally. Instead of the outer world driving you, your internal world finally gets reflected through color, through choice, through,
Leanna,
yeah, yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you hear me okay?
yes,
We just got home and I have to show you all this. So, backstory, um, I had a miscarriage and Leanna just helped me through that like the quickest way possible. And I have three children. We are wonderfully blessed. I'm trying to figure out how to turn this around, but um, speaking of color, well, I'll go this way. So
yes,
while we were gone in Colorado, I wanted to make this play closet for my kids, and we it's like wild color, and we put a hole in the bottom. Can y'all see that?
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Let's see if we can pin that. Can we pin that? Because I want to see it.
We cut a hole through the bottom. Here's my daughter. Can you go through there? Show them. And so they can go through the closet, and then we just like painted this giant mural on the wall.
Yeah.
And I tell y'all this because in our session, I told Leanna, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like wanting to paint the playroom as like my little memory to this baby. And so it's just such a happy little reminder. And so thank you, Leanna.
Oh my gosh, Kaylee. So I'm so thankful. So yeah, there's like tears in my eyes for so many reasons. Um, because it was in that session that we can have that insight and we can have the knowing of what has happened, how it happened. And it is so powerful though, when we can allow that space, that somatic conversation to happen that says, this is how I want to honor it. This is a possibility that I see. And this is how I choose to be with it. And so Kaylee took that insight and she, with her hands, with her ideas, with her creativity, with how she put it together, it's created an actual physical space of honoring and to see life moving back into that space. A space that was once said, I'm just a closet. She said, you're not just a closet. We're busting the door down, and now you're a play space for life to happen. So take that metaphor and carry it with you. Right? Like, I mean, these are the things. It's like if an image is worth 1,000 words, a metaphor can change a life because when you understand that, that life can give us two closets that never connect. And you said, but I see how we can bust through that wall and we can actually create the space for creativity, for life, for my kids to be there, a way of honoring. And all of a sudden, a two-dimensional life has now become four-dimensional with stories to be shared, with memories to be created, right? And that happens when we can slow things down. The nervous system can create a space of settledness. But what happens after that? The conversations that happen internally, right? That's what creates the space for life to come in. And these are the conversations that we're going to continue to have along with the movement practices. I'm trying to figure out a way to record these movement practices and send them to you so we can do them before class and even talk about what we discovered collectively, like what happened when we went through that process, right? And sometimes you have to go through that process a few times to allow the body to register a new knowing. And this is why this work is important. We are an experience-based brain. Through the experience, how we show up in the experience, mapping our patterns is very important. I mean, I love mapping patterns. Give me a genogram or a map, and I'm going to be like, well, let's map this and then let's map that. But I'm telling you that understanding the map is important, but the map has never once carried anybody across the country. You have to physically walk it out. Your physicality. I can map all day long, but at some point I got to get in there and I'm like, I got to see the land for myself. I have to touch it, feel it, sense it, know it. And then I update the map. And so that the quality of our movements that we're going to go through this next year, we started with the feet and the orienting, right? Because it's very important. Because hypervigilance, we can go right into that healing journey like Ashley did. And she's like, I'm just going to purge and I'm going to detox and I'm going to do this. And the body goes, hang on, I'm not settled. I'm not grounded. There's not a place yet for all that information to move. And so that creating that sense of space, capacity, presence, steadiness, so that we can enter into that place where we begin to repattern how we move. Telling you, it's powerful.
Leanna, when you
Yeah.
said that, Ashley and I are very dear friends, but it's making me giggle because I put a post on our site where you guys saw where my mares came with me and we were sitting there and I was just doing the things and, sitting on a tree root and swaying back and forth. but it makes me giggle, and I'm laughing with you guys because I'm very type A. I'm a hard driving female. And so sometimes, you're sitting there and you're like, guys, come on, we got to get over here and regulate our nervous systems, tick tock, because I'm busy. And let's
Yeah.
get over here and have our relaxation moment. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. Been
So
there.
I'm feeling very convicted right now. I say all this to say,
Well, listen, but Shannon, I'm so glad you said that because it is. It's like, I mean, I remember when I told my kids, it's like, it's time to breathe.
yes,
It's like, I would tell the kids, you're not breathing. We got to
yes,
breathe. And I was like, and then my mentor, Dr. Stephen Terrell, he goes,
yes,
well, who
let's hurry
wants
up
to
and
breathe?
relax. Yes.
Right. Who wants to relax around that? I was like, well, I mean, it's important to breathe. He goes, let them be, because if you're in that state, don't, he goes, just let it pass, catch it on the next go round. And that's how he would do. He goes, let it pass, catch it on the next go round. But see, in my world, because there was always a sense of urgency, my fear is, what if there's not a next go round? What if this was my moment and I miss it?
And hand in hand with that, Leanna, and then that's all I want to say. But hand in hand
Yeah.
with that,
Yeah.
and I think I was talking to Ashley about this too. Early on too, when I first became introduced to you and things like that, I kind of thought that this regulating your nervous system was just going to be the Shangri-La moment, and once you regulated, you are just there and you have hit the pinnacle,
Right.
and life is going to be perfect from now on. So when you talked about the rupture repair cycle, I was like, oh,
Yes.
okay.
Okay. So, which I'm so thankful, because Shannon, see, if somebody were to believe that, like this regulation, and then that's it,
Yeah, and then you're
then
there. Yeah.
right. And you're there and you actually have moments of there. And then you're asking, like, why is the effort and why is that not taking me to the place where I really know I'm being led to go? And so it allows us to come in with a different conversation. So I'm going to read this analogy. It's about a horse. And then we're going to talk a little bit. We'll end the gather. Oh yeah, it's 12:39. So I want to be mindful of y'all's time. I'm so thankful. Okay. Think of a horse who blows up at the gate. Those of us that are horse people, yes. Think of, let's see, if we have a kid that doesn't like to go to a certain place, like the doctor's office, and they see that building and they're like, oh my God. Or just any place that you like look at and you're like, I haven't had a real great experience with this and I don't want to touch this. I don't want to go there. Guess what? That means that gate, that office is bigger than my nervous system in that moment. It carries with it a lot of unsafety, danger, potential, of not good, right? Is held there. So you can know the why. Let's go back to the horse. You can trace it to the trailer, the wreck, to the day the panel swung into him, right? We're like, oh yeah, I know that. You can tell the whole story. Every word of it can be true, and it will not matter to him at all. And you can get him settled. Soft eye, low head, hind foot, his hind's kind of underneath him. He's breathing out, right? That breath is regulated, where there's nothing being asked of him. In that moment in the round pen, also true, also not enough. He will walk towards that gate and became the same horse he was. What changes him is walking toward the gate while he can still think a little at a time, not one step past what he can metabolize, and having it go differently than it has ever gone before. And not just once, but enough times that his body begins to expect a different ending. The settling, all that regulation work that you did was incredibly important, essential. But what does the repatterning is we meet that challenge where it doesn't overface us, and we can bring that regulation in. And that's what begins to create that embodied confidence that I can meet this experience differently. I can walk away knowing something differently about myself versus it being just flooded, overwhelmed, where we shut down, where we leave ourselves. So the settling is what makes him available to the new information for the horse. The settling does. It makes it available for the new learning to be there. But the new information that he met that experience differently than before, that's what rewires. That's what repatterns. That's what we're looking for.
Can I add? That's what
Yeah.
that's what we're creating when you do these things. And Tracy asked in the comments, how do you get off the hamster wheel? And that hits, right? So it's taking it's one moment at a time, right? It's one, like Leanna talks about noticing, witnessing, and she's using this analogy. So we're all picturing a horse going through this and, helping the horse create that new environment. But like when you start looking inward, if you notice moments where you get tense or you're stressed or you have, like if you've recognized and you know what your triggers are, you don't have to solve the whole problem. It's going to happen over time, right? Because that's what we're doing. Kind of like for the horse, the more we can just acknowledge, like, okay, I'm feeling this after that happened. That's enough. The more moments like that you have, it starts to rewire how you respond. And so then over time, then you're not as responsive. Your triggers are not so light anymore. It just over time, it's so freeing. But
and it's over.
This is what I wanted to say too, is that it's really like she was saying, even those little moments and taking that little bit of time, and knowing like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to create a new pattern where I can acknowledge and I can recognize this is going on in me and everything else. That's huge because so many of, like Shannon, right? That's how I was to type A. We'll go. Check 9,000 boxes, in every single day. And so many triggers happening. But what we do is when we start feeling that tension, or if something gets to us, I would just shove it down. You just ignore it. I don't have time, or maybe even I'm not, like, I don't have time for that, or I'm not worthy of, spending time on myself. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not worth spending time on myself and focusing on these things. I'm just going to shove it down and go on, to the next thing.
100%.
So it's so important to take just the little moments. You don't have to solve everything. Just take those moments.
Mm-hmm. Take those moments. Exactly. That's beautifully said. Take those moments where if you feel the brace, you allow that brace to be met with support from a different place inside of you. It's how we show up, just like with the horse, right? It's moment by moment. But now what we're understanding, guys, through our community is how impactful and important those moments truly are. How resonant they are. How those moments can create and shift energy. It's kind of like the observer effect in physics, that by the act of noticing and observing, what I notice and what I observe begins to change. The observer effect, it's real and it is powerful. That we begin to understand, we'll incorporate those principles in what we're talking about as well, is that the act of observing, noticing, and attending automatically change the pattern that's here. Now we get to talk about, though, the physiology of changing that pattern. And that's why you can now be free and go, if insight and awareness alone were the key, right, we would have all had it figured out by now. But the fact of the matter is that insight and awareness is the start of the conversation, but now we're here to have the rest of it. So you guys, I am so thankful for you, incredibly thankful. This conversation is going to go into next week because what I just presented and we started to talk about is very wide and deep. And you'll have a movement exploration this week to embody what we just discussed. So you can really set it into your being, into how you move. Because again, how we move changes how I move through life and how life moves through me just by beginning to be with our movement patterns differently. So thank you guys. Anything else? Are we good? I think we're good.
Y'all are awesome.
Yes.
Y'all are amazing.
One last thing, guys.
Yes.
If you want to stay on with us, make sure you purchase. Sorry, my brain's starting to get mushy. Purchase. Lori, will you do it for me? I'm starting to not feel so good. Tag. I tried.
Got it.
Tag her
You
it.
got it. Get it, Lori?
Yes, I know. Well, Leanna, we shared a video that Leanna did, I think from Sunday. But yes, so today will be the last free live, but we're going to continue gathering on Tuesday. And you have an opportunity right now. If you purchase any Worthy Cowgirl product, hat or shirt, whatever it might be, then you will get a link to do 30 days on us. So test it out for a month and be able to get these insane resources from Leanna that will help you, do the things that she's talking about right now, the things that she's helped me and Ashley and Sunny through these things, and we still use them every day. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's where we're at right now. If y'all have any questions, please reach out, Facebook, email, phone, all of that. And am I forgetting anything else?
Nope. We're so thankful for you guys. We love you guys. Thank you.